But today, I'm the greatest of all time. Thank you.
Never stop, I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top.
Yo, no, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want. I turn a business out of nothing into something I love. I got a poker face, but honestly, I'm not one to bluff. I flip a switch, never miss, man, I always stay up. Don't let them see you always have a plan to stay tough. This life ahead of you ain't easy, it was built to be rough. But that's what makes a personality is tragedy, bruh. So keep your head on your shoulders. Now we ain't out here moving rocks, we out here moving boulders. Now we ain't getting posterized, we out here making posters. And we ain't got nothing to hide, we move forward like soldiers. You better wake up for the pay stub, or you'll pay up. Don't make love to the game, bruh, fuck the game up. Change up, rearrange stuff to your greatness. Same us for the way up, play the game, bruh.
Never stop, I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top, yeah.
You know I'm always honest, there ain't no way I'll never stop it.
I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top,
I'm always flirting with pain, she like to hurt me and maim. I'm always working to change, but she's still lurking the same. I keep on building a dynasty while the haters be trying me, but they hate from inside.
All right, what is going on, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Unscripted Live here on the Elite Sports and Entertainment Network and also on Northeast Streaming Sports' Roku channel. Go check them out. They put out great top-tier sports content each and every single week. As always, join me for my NFL Week 15 game previews. Stat guy, Dustin Reeves. What's going on, Dustin?
Wow, I don't think anyone expected that Thursday night game last night, Logan. That was more points than your Raiders have scored in 2 months.
Hey, it was nice. It was unexpected. But I woke up this morning very happy. And also to help break down these games, as always, Jay McLovin.
Yes. As you know, Logan, this is a big week for all of us. Well, maybe for me, not so much for you, or really even Stat Guy, but it's a damn good week for me, Logan.
Yeah, and we'll get into it in just a little bit. If you guys enjoyed the episode, give us a like, follow, share, subscribe on all of our social media platforms. Easiest way to do so, though, is through our link tree, which is in the description of all of our episodes. One-stop shop for all of our social platforms and whatnot. So let's get into it, guys. We got 5 slated games here. First one up on the docket is going to be the Minnesota Vikings and Cincinnati Bengals game that Dustin personally requested. So, Dustin, I will let you start things off.
I'm going to start you guys off with the number 3,610. Does anyone know what that stands for?
How much money is in my bank account? I don't know. Tell me.
So Nick Mullins is going to be the Minnesota Vikings' 4th starting quarterback of the year. In his first 13 starts of his NFL career, Nick Mullins has 3,610 yards passing. That is the 3rd most passing yards in NFL history for a player's first 13 starts. Can you name the 2 guys ahead of him?
I don't know. Vinny Testaverde and
Doug Flutie.
Yeah, Doug Flutie, sure.
Well, before we get to the Chargers, just fired Brandon Staley and their GM.
Woo! Oh,
hey,
we were just talking about that.
We were just talking about that pre-show, and yep, it is official.
All right, so getting back to that. So yeah, Nick Mullins is 3rd in NFL history for passing yards in his first 13 starts, behind Andrew Luck, 3,792, and Patrick Mahomes, 4,207. So Nick Mullins is actually played very well in his 13 starts that he's had so far. He's 5-8 as a starter. He's got 23 touchdowns in those 13 starts and 15 interceptions. So he's had some interception problems in the past. But you look at the numbers that he's put up. It's been with the San Francisco 49ers before they had Debo, before they had Brandon Ayuk and some of the weapons they have now. And it was with the Cleveland Browns when they had an injured Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry. So the numbers that Nick Mullins has put up has really come without a go-to wide receiver. Now he's got a chance to work with Hockenson. He's got a chance to work with Addison. He's had a year and a half to work with Justin Jefferson and some of the pieces on this offense. I'm very curious to see what he can do when you actually give him weapons to throw to, because he's proven that he can actually throw the football with not that many weapons. And then on the other side, you got Jake Browning, who was actually Minnesota's 3rd-string quarterback in 2021 before they cut him, and then went to Cincinnati's practice squad last year. And now Browning has kind of turned himself into a very valuable backup, and he's showed Cincinnati that he's actually a lot better than what people gave him credit for. Both these teams are sitting at 7-6. Both these teams really need a win to keep their playoffs hopes alive, and more so Cincinnati needs this win even more because Minnesota technically has a 2-game cushion over the Seahawks, the Rams, and the Packers. So even if the Vikings lose this week, they would still be in a playoff spot versus Cincinnati would fall a little bit further behind. I'm going to roll with Minnesota on this one, 21-20. I just think that Nick Mullins has that more experience than obviously Browning does in terms of a starter. But the way that Brian Flores has that defense playing right now, I don't know how Jake Browning is going to be able to adjust to that.
All right. Well said. Jay, who's taking this one, buddy? Is it going to be the Bengals or is it the Vikings?
Yeah, like Dustin said, both these guys are 7-6. Both these guys are severely fighting for their playoff lives. I really don't think either one of these teams has a chance in hell to do anything in the playoffs. But either way, it is a fight for these guys to get into the wild card seat of things. Now, like Dustin said earlier, Mullins does have a good career yardage at 36-10 on 13 starts. So he does have a good career stat line. However, I don't know if that's going to be enough to take out the Bengals. Browning himself is playing extremely well, to the point where he's come off wins against the Jags and the Colts back-to-back. So you got to look at what that says. And let's be honest, it's not like Minnesota just went out there and crushed the Raiders last week. So with that being said, look, Madison's out. Chandler's in. He's got – Huh?
I said that's fine. Madison can stay out the rest of the year for a
while.
while.
No, I'm just saying he's out. You got Ty Chandler running the ball. And look, due to injuries and struggles within the offense at Minnesota, Hockenson has now become your number one wide receiver in terms of yardage at 839 and 5 touchdowns. Now, with that being said, Jefferson looks to be back after that hamstring injury he took last week. We'll see how long he can actually play in this game before he gets hurt again or pulls something. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he gets lucky and plays the whole game. Who knows? We will find that out. Mix is not playing too bad at 768 on the rush. And Chase is having a pretty good year at a little over almost 1,100 yards at just around 90 receptions at 7 touchdowns. So I got to tell you, man, even with Jefferson coming back, even with Mullins, having a good quote-unquote career 13 starts, I don't think it's going to be enough because of what Browning's doing, because of the or what the Bengals defense is doing. Myles Garrett is on pace, let me tell you. I think the Bengals are still going to be too much for this Vikings team, and I think they walk away with the win, Logan, at this point. I don't know what the – oh, geez, man. I'm going to say 28-14 favor of the Bengals.
Yeah, I'll go a lower scoring game. I don't know. I just got a iffy feeling about this one. With just maybe the offense being kind of lacking.
Minnesota doesn't play anything but one-score games, Jay. Every single game has been a one-score game for them one way or another.
And Dustin, thanks for saying that. Because my final score is going to be 13-10 with the Bengals slightly on top in this one.
Well, I gave him a touchdown. I gave him a touchdown and 2 field goals.
Yeah. Oh, well. It ain't
trying to be nice, damn it.
I know. Hey, it's a Friday. We're trying to be nice here. All right. Let's keep it moving, guys. Ravens and Jaguars. Now, do we know if Trevor Lawrence is going to be playing in this game yet?
He's supposed to be, but we'll –
So, let's just allege that he is playing. Jay, I'll let you kick things off here. Lamar Jackson, Trevor Lawrence, which team is getting up the win in this one?
Yeah, Lawrence has definitely not been ruled out. So I'm going to assume, unless we see something different come out on the waiver wire, or on the news wires, that he will be playing. So I'm going to base mine off of him playing. But again, he is coming off of a high ankle sprain. And I just don't know what the lingering effects, even if he does play, what that will look like for him in terms of his efficiency. And let's be honest, the Jags' efficiency has been really erratic as of late. The Jags have been completely up and down, looking for consistent play, and they just have not found that, especially, Logan, against teams with playoff winning records. Now, again, there is no Mark Andrews, which we all know that is the Ravens' number one wide receiver, even though he's a tight end. But you will have probably a healthy dose of Flowers somewhere in there. It looks like Keaton Mitchell will be, again, the running back for this team. He's not exactly the most flashiest of guys. So I expect Jackson to still be the leading running back / quarterback of this team, which I have always said I think that is a terrible thing. Josh Allen is the same way, and I just think it's a terrible thing. I don't think it leads to success of a football franchise when your quarterback is also your leading running back. I just think that's a horrible idea. Lawrence, again, he's got 10 interceptions. Jackson's got 6, so Lawrence is a little bit more on the turnover side of things. Again, he is coming off of an injury, so we'll see how well he plays. Etienne is also doubtful, but it looks like he probably will play. I think he's actually listed as questionable, but I think he plays. He's also dealing with injuries himself. Kirk is probably your leading wide receiver. Calvin really is still trying to find his form. Again, I want to point out, like I said, the Ravens' defense is elite. It really is an elite defense. The Jags have not done well, like I said, as they have not done well against great defense. As a matter of fact, they are 0-3 against San Francisco, Kansas City, and Cleveland. So that kind of gives you a precept of what you can expect against this Ravens team. The Ravens have gone 7 of 8 to be at the top of the conference. They are playing at full momentum right now, even though, Mark Andrews isn't there. They're still playing at pretty good momentum. The Ravens defensive tackle, I want to point this out, Logan, and I hope I say his name right. I hate these names. It sounds like hockey. Justin Buick or something like that. The dude's 5 sacks. The dude has half a sack in 10 consecutive games. If he gets a sack against Jacksonville, he will then tie the record held by Jarrett Allen for most consecutive games with a sack in the NFL history. So I'm going to go Ravens, and I think it's going to be, with no Mark Andrews, I think it'll be a little bit closer scoring game. I'm going to say 2017 Ravens.
All right, Dustin, do you have the same result?
I mean, 2 weeks ago, this would have been probably the game of the week, as this most likely would have been a battle for the number 1 seed. But Jacksonville's kind of taken a late season nosedive here, which you kind of look at last season too. They did the same thing. They kind of limped into the playoffs last year and then won the final 2 regular season games before winning that playoff game. So this is kind of familiar territory for Jacksonville versus Baltimore. Just looks like the most complete team in the AFC right now. And the best part about this is Mark Andrews is not playing, which, I mean, that's not a good thing for Baltimore. But Lamar Jackson and that team are finding ways to win and finding ways to score a lot more points offensively with arguably his best weapon in Mark Andrews. Zay Flowers is turning into a great receiver, and he's a rookie. Even with J.K. Dobbins getting hurt early in the year, they've been going with Gus Edwards and Keontae Mitchell and a bunch of other running back combos to kind of keep their running game going. They still have Rashad Bateman. They brought in Nelson Aguilar. So, I mean, the Ravens do have more weapons offensively this year than they've had in the past. But like Jay said, it's all going to come down to the Ravens defense. And when you compare these two defenses, Baltimore is a top 5 defense. Jacksonville's between that 15 and 20 range where they're going to have games where they look like a top 5 defense. Then they're going to have games where they look like one of the worst defenses in football. Jacksonville's suddenly in a race for that AFC South division with the Colts and the Texans, and a loss here really kind of makes things interesting for those final 3 weeks of the season. Even though this game's in Jacksonville, even though it's the first Sunday night game at Jacksonville in over 12 years, I'm still going to go Baltimore in this one. I just like the way the Ravens are playing right now. I'm going to go 27-14.
Okay, all right. Yeah, for me, like you mentioned, if this was a few weeks ago, this would have been, maybe it might have been the game of the week, perhaps. But like you mentioned, Jacksonville has, as of late, not looked as sharp. And while yes, the Ravens won't have Mark Andrews for this ball game, you mentioned they've looked great. They're quietly, I would think, people aren't talking about them being a 10-win team so far. You don't hear a whole lot of coverage on the Ravens, but yeah, you mentioned, man. I mean, they kind of got back to their roots, and I say that because their defense is top notch, and that's what we've come to expect with Baltimore over the years, is that they have a killer defense. But I mean, their offense is nothing to joke about either. They got a solid team. So for that reason, and also for Jacksonville, I don't know. Like I said, a few weeks ago, I was feeling good about them. I was riding high with them, but they just haven't looked good at all these last few weeks. And with Trevor Lawrence not 100% as of yet, like I said, we are expecting him to play. I just can't roll with them. So for that reason, I'll go with the Baltimore Ravens getting the W in this one. Final score 27-14. All right. Next game up on the docket, we have the Chicago Bears taking on the Cleveland Browns in a very interesting matchup here. Jay, we'll let you start things off. Bro, what's been going on with the Browns lately? We thought their season was done for weeks ago.
I'll tell you what's going on. Just like in the movie Replacements, where Gene Hackman goes down to the boat, finds Keanu Reeves coming out of the water, scraping a barnacle off the side. Flacco! That's what we got. We got the replacements coming back to the Browns. They've got old Flacco up out of the water, scraping that barnacle, and now he's out here on the field playing for the Cleveland Browns as a replacement for Deshaun Watson and company. So, yes, I love it. I love it. Honestly, I really do. I think Flacco, all he has to do is just go out there, be a game manager, let Amari Cooper and company deal with things. Let the running game with Ford and Hunt do what they do. Let that Cleveland Browns defense do what they do. They are playing the Bears and are 5-8. So let's be honest. I mean, the Browns really should be 9-5 when this is all done. But I like this game for the Browns. I like it because it's a tune-up game, if you will. It's a tune-up game for Flacco as the competition gets tougher. So this is a perfect game for Flacco to make his debut with the Browns because it gets a warm-up game. And so that way when the competition gets tougher and tougher and he keeps learning the playbook, it's going to be a lot more seamless. And what I like about this, Logan, more than anything, is he is not a rich quarterback in terms of his contract this year. He is on a one-year deal where every playoff win gets this guy his bread and butter, and he has a chance to make a little over $4 million if he can win the Super Bowl. So I always say, Logan, money is an extreme motivator for people. And also, I think playing the game of football is a motivator for him. So this guy's going to come in with a lot to look up to, a lot to play for, and a lot to strive for. And that makes for a great combination with a good coach, some good receivers, a good running back. I mean, he's going to be fine. Brown, they are without their leading tacklers. This is where I think the Browns are going to be kind of in a conundrum. They're without Grant Delpit, and they're also out with defensive end Ogbo Okoronkano. God, however you say that name, Jesus. So that is a little bit of a sidestep on the defensive side. I think Delpit is definitely going to be back at some point. I think Ogbo is definitely I think he's out for the season. But I do think they get Delpit back, which is their lead tackler, so that is going to be huge for them. If you're going to take a game off, this is definitely a game to take off or what have you. Fields, like I said before with Jackson, when you're your leading running back as well as your quarterback, it just doesn't look good. I can't think of one Super Bowl winning team where the quarterback was also the leading running back. I can't think of one team. So just let that sink in for a minute. The Bears are coming off a win, however, and a comma on the Lions, which was hugely crazy at 28-13. So I got to give some Bears a little bit of credit there that they took down the Lions. The Browns are coming off a win versus Jacksonville, obviously 31-27, which is where Delpit and Ogbo went down with injuries. Fields versus the Lions defense. This is where I don't like it. He only put up 223 yards on their defense and a touchdown, and he got 58 rushing yards and a touchdown. So the yardage kind of paltry, but he did count for 2 touchdowns against the Lions. But at the end of the day, I think the Bears are just dead water meat, and I think the Browns are going to get this win. Flacco is going to continue mission, and I think it's going to be I don't think it'll be a blowout game, but I certainly think it'll be somewhere in the neighborhood of 17-10 in favor of the Browns.
Okay. All right, Dustin, what do you think is going to happen?
Well, Jay, you haven't watched the Bears much lately, so I can tell by just based on what you have said. This Bears team is 5-8, yes. They also blew a 14-point lead against the Lions 3 weeks ago and could be 6-7. And had they won that game against the Lions, they would be tied for that final playoff spot in the NFC. And
hey, we're not playing the what-if game here.
And what you were saying about Justin Fields last week, his numbers weren't as good as what they were because the Bears forced 4 turnovers, 3 of them on the Lions side of the field, so the Bears only had to go 35 yards to get points. So if you're only having to go 35 yards to get points, of course your numbers aren't going to look that great. The thing with the Bears right now is ever since Matt Eberflus fired Alan Williams from his defensive coordinator role and started calling the plays himself, the Bears defense is number 2 in the NFL the last 5 weeks. They're also number 1 in the NFL the last 4 weeks in turnovers. The Bears have 9 interceptions the last 3 weeks, 12 interceptions the last 4 weeks, and have 14 forced turnovers the last 4 weeks, which is, I think, 5 or 6 more than the second place team in the NFL right now. So the Bears defense is finally getting back to the defense that everyone thought they were going to be when you look at the amount of money they invested in the defense in free agency this year. Then you look at the offense. Justin Fields is finally showing the consistency the Bears have been waiting for. He's running the ball a lot, yes, but not nearly as much as he ran the ball last year. He's throwing the ball with more accuracy this year. He's throwing the ball more consistently this year as he's now got, I think, 20 touchdowns and 9 interceptions now as opposed to last year, 14 touchdowns and 12 picks. Cleveland has a great defense, and they are going to make life miserable for Justin Fields. But the Bears' defense of last month has been the best defense in the NFL in terms of forcing turnovers. And I think they can force Joe Flacco to give some interceptions because that is something that Flacco has struggled with in the past is interceptions. And because of that, I'm riding the Bears right now. I really like this Bears team right now. I really like the way the Bears are playing right now. They have a game against the Cardinals next week. They have a game against the Packers down the road yet. Chicago can get this final playoff spot if they continue to play the way they have the past month. I'm going Chicago 20-17 in overtime.
All right. Final thoughts for me. You know what? Why not go with the old pro? Let's go with Joe Flacco, get the W in this one. I got this one being close, so I'll go final score 24-21 in favor of the Cleveland Brownies. All right. Good game here, hopefully, or you would hope so. Jay McLovin, obviously, you'll kick things off. Your Cowboys taking on the kind of disappointing Buffalo Bills this year. How do you think it's going to pan out for y'all?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just going to say a couple of things, and I'm going to call it quick. Diggs says, he said, the Bills are battle-tested. So he said, don't count them out. We're battle-tested. Well, you know what? Everybody's freaking battle-tested, Diggs. Everybody's battle-tested. You know, the Cowboys, over 30 years of not having a Super Bowl, aren't battle-tested? Come on. That's the dumbest thing you could ever say. Don't worry about it. When we beat your ass, and we will beat the Bills, you can say you're battle-tested. I got to say, the only thing with the Cowboys I want them to remember is even though you're 10-3, don't get complacent. Stay hungry. Stay playing like you have everything to lose. The worst thing that can happen to the Cowboys at this point is that they get lackadaisical, rest of their laurels, and think they got it made in the bag. That's the only thing that scares me about the Cowboys. And I'm going to tell you right now, if we beat the Bills, and we will beat the Bills, and Dak Prescott has a good game and doesn't throw interceptions, and you don't have him in your MVP conversation, that's a problem. That's a problem. Now, you may not like Dak Prescott, but he's having a hell of a season. And if we win against this team and he doesn't throw an interception or have a fumble or a turnover and you don't have him in your MVP conversation, then you're not watching the game of football or you have bias against him. I'm gonna let it rest at that. I think the Cowboys will beat the Bills, and I think it's going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 30-21 favorite Cowboys.
All right, Dustin, your quick thoughts on this game?
I mean, even if Dak Prescott does throw an interception and have a turnover, he's still in my MVP conversation because Dak Prescott has played well. And looking at the rest of the NFC, you could make the case that Dak Prescott's been the best quarterback in the NFC for the better part of the past 2 months. There's a reason why the Cowboys are in the position they're in. It's because the offense is finally playing like the offense that it should have been playing with when Kellen Moore was there. So I bet you anybody in Dallas right now is happy that Kellen Moore is gone. Dan Quinn continues to have one of the best, if not the best defenses in the NFL, just the way he can get after the quarterback, the way they can create turnovers, just how they dictate the field position game, the tempo, all of that. Buffalo's been an inconsistent team all year, and you could make a case that the past 2 weeks have basically been Buffalo's season where they had that hard-breaking loss in overtime to Philadelphia, but then come back and respond with a big win at Kansas City. So that was kind of, I think, their season-saving win for now. But the biggest problem with Josh Allen is taking care of the football. And the toughest part about this Cowboys defense is they know how to force turnovers. Dallas has the harder schedule than Philadelphia. So I'm not going to say Dallas is going to win the division because when you look at Philadelphia's remaining schedule, Philadelphia should go 4-0 the rest of the way. Dallas, I can see going 3-1. I just don't think they can go 4-0 when you look at what's left. but I'm still picking Dallas as maybe the team to come out of the NFC to go to the Super Bowl just because I think they would be the most battle-tested team at the end of the year. I like Dallas in this one, 34-17.
Yeah, Buffalo's really been disappointing this year. We all thought that their window was kind of closing, and it feels like it is maybe a little bit prematurely. Just a bad season, one you can wipe your hands with and kind of move on the next year. Dallas has the hot hand, man, so I got to roll with him. Final score in this one. Give me the Cowboys 30. I'll go 33, and give me the Buffalo Bills 17. All right, final game on the slate here, ladies and gentlemen. Eagles and Seahawks. Dustin, what are your quick thoughts on this one?
Like I was just kind of alluding to, you look at the Eagles' remaining schedule. They have Seattle this week, which I believe is their toughest game the rest of the season. I'm just going to pull up their schedule really quick. I think they have the Eagles, they have the Cardinals, and then 2 games with the Giants left. So, I mean, look at the Eagles the last 4 games. They should go 4-0. And if they lose one game, this would be the game that they lose. But this Eagles team has been very vulnerable the past couple of weeks, and you've seen it. You've seen it in their play. 49ers crushed them. Dallas crushed them. They should have lost to Buffalo, but got bailed out by a 59-yard field goal in the rain before winning in overtime. And then you got a Seattle Seahawks team that was right up there with San Francisco, but now they've kind of fallen out of the playoff race altogether. I think Seattle's season is going to come to an end this week in terms of their playoff hopes. I think Philadelphia gets back on the winning track, and I think Philadelphia takes care of business in this one. I do expect it to be a little bit closer than what people expect, but I'm going to go 27-21 Philly.
All right. Jay, who's taking the win in this one? Which bird is winning?
Yeah, one simple statement. If I had to label this game, I label it 2 ways. Number one, it's battle for the Eagles to stay in fighting position for number 1 in the division. And number 2, it is the battle of the slumping teams. Eagles are coming off, like Dustin said, a 2-game slide. Seahawks are coming off of a 4-game slide. But there's no way in hell the Seahawks are going to beat the Eagles. So I see the Eagles taking this game. I see them blowing out the Seahawks. I see the Seahawks season coming to an end. And we will battle on to see who wins the division for the NFC East.
All right. Well, sounds good to me. Yeah, I mean, when you look at this game, obviously the Eagles, the main thing around the Eagles really here lately hasn't been their team play. It's more so been just I've been hearing, will they get rid of the tush push? Will they get rid of it? Just since we got a little bit of time here, just real quick, yes or no, will they end up banning that move, Dustin?
Yes, they will, because you have all those borderline neutral zone penalties now.
That's true.
And when you look at how this play takes shape, everybody on the offensive line is lined up in the neutral zone when this play happens. So if you're not going to make neutral zone calls, you can't really stick with this play because everyone is offsides.
All right. Well said, Jay. Do you also have that sentiment, or do you think that they should keep it?
I feel like they'll get rid of it only because NFL hates strategy. And if it has to do with strategy, they're going to nix it. And so because of that, yeah. And again, also what Dustin said about the neutral zone infraction. I mean, if you're going to take the play of Kadarius Toney with the Chiefs and take that back, then you got to take the Eagles back too to be consistent, right?
I did see that they did file a trademark for that. I believe it was earlier today or possibly yesterday.
That's hilarious.
So they're preparing, I think, to, if it does go away, they can sell T-shirts or whatever. And look, we know Philly fans, they'll buy it. They will buy it and wear it every other game and probably chant it in the stands. We'll see Philly sports guy out there going crazy. And I think that I don't know. I think they're leaning towards getting rid of it. But anyways, final score in this one, I do think the Seahawks fall in this one. Eagles take care of business. I think final score will be let's go Philadelphia. I'll have them putting up 28. And I'll have the Seahawks with 14 on that Monday night game. Only Monday night game this week. We had a doubleheader this past week, as we know. Well, guys, it has been a fun show as always. Of course, if you want to check out any of our other game previews, we did some college football previews the other day. Check us out on our channel. Also, thank you to Northeast Streaming Sports for allowing us to stream on their Roku channel. Go and check them out. As always, Dustin Reese, Jay McLovin, it's always a pleasure being here every single week talking sports with you fine gentlemen and getting your takes on what's going on in the world. I've been your host and producer this afternoon, Logan Landers. Once again, if you want us to check out any of our other videos, go to our social media links in our link tree, Facebook, YouTube. Also, check us out on Twitter and whatnot. We'll talk to you again on another live episode. We'll see you in a little bit.